Hey, okay, I'm here. As you can probably see, I've been reduced to sitting on the floor. I hope you can hear me. I really hate this bit because I've muted everyone else, so I can't tell what's going on. Let's see what my phone is doing. Yeah, I can hear myself. Oh, the always reliable way. And I couldn't hear any weird noises. Old media guy and now Yvette making me paranoid about the sound quality. As I was just saying, you can see I have been reduced to the floor by the two excellent producers of Terra Preta behind me. We have Willow here, and we have Nala over there behind the shark. They hate each other, and for the last couple of nights, now he's disappearing, but they've actually spent time next to each other, which is a massive improvement, particularly for Grumpy, who's just wandered out. Anyway, enough about the cats, because actually this video live stream wasn't about cats. It's meant to be about Amazonian civilizations and the Secret of El Dorado. So let's bring in my two awesome panel members we have for today, Old Media Guy and Yvette, and I'm just going to bring them out. Oh, stretch. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Can you still hear your weird noises, you two?
Yes.
I can't hear a thing, and I turned the sound on the stream, and I couldn't hear anything on my phone either. So it's in your heads. It's entirely in your head.
We can easily solve this. Chat, can you hear a weird, high-pitched little noise?
Yes.
Noise.
Captain Fandom Nerd's there right now. He could easily tell us. If he's listening.
There it is.
Well, anyway, let's just wait for the chat to tell us, and we'll try and blast on through. You two can hear me despite the horrible noise, can't you?
Yes.
I can hear you two perfectly. It's amazing.
Although I would suspect that your microphone is off, your good microphone, because you sound a little far away and more tinny than your
Is
microphone.
StreamYard pointing to the correct microphone?
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Right, not mute the mic. I want to actually see the settings.
And Captain Fandom Nerd says there is a weird high-pitched sound.
Oh my God!
And Mr. Londell says, sounds like a squeaky fan motor.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I've just forced it to go to this mic. Does that sound more like it should do?
Yes, it sounds great.
It's
and
gone.
I don't hear the noise.
And the noise is gone. Well, mystery solved. It was trying to use the laptop's internal microphone. Huh. Stupid.
Oh,
laptop.
I love StreamYard for doing things like that.
Yeah, I know. I never use that damn thing. Okay, for this reason. So now it sounds beautiful, yeah.
Oh, yeah, sounds great.
Just like you two do. Okay, so here we are discussing poo soil. I keep saying poo soil. It's not. It's charcoal and poo soil from ancient Amazonian civilizations. Was that not cool or what?
It's very
cool.
I mean, it does kind of, although this civilization, to be fair, isn't the most ancient we've ever seen because they are contemporary with the bloody conquistadors. So we're talking about, what, it'd be 16th, 15th century. I mean, it's not that old, but presumably these civilizations went back much further and did, irrigate and have agriculture based in the Amazon for quite some time. So I imagine, Old Media Guy, you're well up for this one.
Oh, absolutely. I've changed my name to reflect the fact that I've read well over 2 encyclopedia entries on this topic.
Awesome. That's more encyclopedia entries, I think, than I've read on the topic, I suspect.
Well, beats me. I just did some research on it after I watched it this afternoon. Did you read my comment, Dr. Alex?
You left a comment on the video?
No, in the chat.
In the chat for... Oh, my goodness. Hang on.
I went on the hunt for Beyond Horizon to watch the episode.
Oh.
And half an hour later, I discovered it was Horizon, BBC's Horizon, not Beyond Horizon.
Yeah, this is... I'm putting BBC's
I had no idea. So I spent half an hour looking for Beyond Horizon. After I then discovered it was Horizon, of which I'd been watching it since the 70s.
Yeah, that's even before me.
Because I absolutely adored the show because you had no idea what the topic was going to be. It's so random. Some better than others. But, and I watched the episode, so I've seen it twice now. And then I did a little research on it. So yeah, but I think old civilizations. Oh my God, I can't talk. Old civilization guys got me beat.
Actually, I read about the slash and charcoal method in the book 1491, which was using the same background information that the documentary creators were using. An excellent book. Apparently, there's a second edition, which I haven't read, and also a sequel, which I'm ashamed to say I haven't read. But yes, the book makes it very clear that some of our world hunger problems could be fixed by using the charcoal method. And what's sad is 20 years later, where we are not hearing that this method is being adopted or offered at somewhat of a cheap cost by billionaires to the rest of us. Instead, we are hearing you're going to eat bugs, own nothing, and love it.
Actually, not that I'm disagreeing with you, but the little bit of research I did, they are rolling this out in very poor soil areas.
Oh, excellent.
So they are moving it way too slowly.
Yes.
But they are moving. You do know you're muted, honey.
Dr. Alex, you are muted.
Am I on the right microphone again?
Yes, you're fine.
Sounds like it.
Saying was, where, first of all, in order now, because I'm way behind, where, Elopus, where did you find your version of the Horizon episode? Because it's not that easy to find. I know where I got mine from. Where did you get yours?
Right, no, I can't remember. That was this afternoon. I have a brain like a sieve.
Okay. So did you find it online, though, yeah?
Oh, yes.
Because I had a copy on my massive store of hard drive, but also I also found it on Dailymotion. But I'm pretty sure it's the same version that I actually had.
I don't use Dailymotion.
No,
they like to pluck way too much information about you.
Well, I mean, they can't do it very easily for me because I'm using Linux, and even the browser isn't that porous, particularly if you use Firefox rather than Chrome. But anyway, that's not the point. But yeah, there aren't many copies of it, and also the copy on Dailymotion, which is the one I stole it from, probably years ago, is still the one that has its audio out of sync. So I had to keep going through, finding where it's out of sync and moving it back into sync. About 3 or 4 times throughout the whole video, I had to shift it because doing one shift wouldn't get it right. It had to be done multiple times because it was just slowly, progressively getting out of sync all the way through. Like, flipping heck. But yeah, anyway, for better or worse, I was able to then put it up on YouTube, and the BBC didn't seem to care about this one. Like, good.
Yes, it's fascinating. I'm glad that they didn't mind it being put up because, yeah, this is the kind of thing I like to see because it's never made sense to me that, yes, these brown people who live in this lower continent are very primitive and they just don't know what we know. It's like, it's bull. They wouldn't have survived this long unless they had learned some very important techniques about survival beyond the hunter-gatherer stage. That's why I'm always making jokes about everyone's a hunter-gatherer, because that seems to be the default level for European or American Canadian scientists, which is, these people, they Stone Age must have been hunter-gatherers. Well, yeah, I can see why using statistics, I can see why your null hypothesis is they're hunter-gatherers and you work your way up. But it'd be best just not to tell that to the media and say, oh, yeah, we're pretty sure they were hunter-gatherers. You're always sure they're hunter-gatherers. And it turns out they had this fantastic civilization and we have to rewrite the history books and so on.
I do think one of the most incredible visual images from this documentary is when they go into one of the Amazonian villages, and you see this massive circular area, which is far too big for the village, with a few houses dotted around its periphery, and then the incredibly complex hierarchical structure they've got in their society. And none of it makes sense for a small hunter-gatherer village, but that is essentially what they are now. But there was something there before that gave them this ornate, complex society that you can still see writ large in their own life and society right now.
Yes.
Yeah, most definitely. It would be interesting, on a scientific term for me, to do satellite images proper satellite images to see if we can see, because they were showing at that time that something was there. Now,
the SciShow video I was taking the piss out, having a jab at the beginning of the episode, was talking about exactly that. So the laser mapping of the Amazon was what they were talking about. They were also saying, and we never knew about Amazonian civilizations until very recently. I'm thinking, this documentary is 20 years old. That's not very recently. Even then, the research on which it's based goes back at least a decade before that.
Absolutely.
So it's not that recent, but yes, I'm glad they're doing what exactly you suggested. Updated research and getting better mapping of the very archaeology we're talking about.
It shows it was even bigger than they even imagined then. And other things. Quite a long time ago, I had the privilege of actually visiting the Amazon. Not for long, and it was on the edge. I didn't go in and get eaten or anything. But I did learn from a local tribe I met and my guide the amount of medicines that we are only, at the time I was there, we're only just getting into using these plants, these flowers, these insects even, certain fish. I mean, the Amazon's very unique. It's like Madagascar's very unique. It has specific, I think it's 1 or 2 things a day are named something brand new, but the medicines are absolutely amazing. And I do know they have gone in, they really went into a lot of research, and a lot of medicines that are new now come out of places like the Amazon.
Yeah, it's one of the big reasons. I mean, it's a selfish reason, but it's one of the reasons we need to protect the Amazons, because it's a massive resource for helping us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll leave you guys. You're coming in.
Oh, I was just saying, yes, that's absolutely right. But let's not forget also that what they do with these bugs and the plants and the flowers and such is they take them back to God knows where, break them down somehow, figure out what chemicals are in them, and then they find a way to synthesize those chemicals and provide those in a pill without ever offering us the plants, the bugs, or the flowers. With the bugs, that might be too difficult, but with the plants and the flowers, perhaps less so. So that's one reason why China is such a great exporter of their own native plants and flowers and such, ground into a powder, of course, because they're not going the synthesization route, at least not yet. Whereas if we're going to buy something from an American conglomerate, it's going to be in a pill form. And whenever that happens, I always think of what they did with marijuana about 20 years ago, where they said, well, maybe the THC is helping, so we'll just make a pill out of pure THC and make that legal, and we'll make a profit off that. But the plant itself is still legal. You can't use it. You can't touch that. Well, it turns out there's more cannabinoids that are worth knowing about than THC. In fact, I don't think THC is all that important. Honestly, CBD is far more important. If you have insomnia, you will know why. So this idea of we're going to take these plants and such back to our secret base and figure out what's in them and then give you part of them in a product that costs $100. Yeah, I worry about our civilization, to be frank.
Yeah, we should always worry about our civilization. We shouldn't be too complacent, that's for sure. I just want to say hello to Bird of Prey 5, who's in the chat, and hello Words of Pictures, who are there, and Mr. Londell, and Captain Fandom Nerd. Thank you all for joining us. This was one of the most populated chats and also viewing figures I think we've had for one of these so far.
Woohoo!
And it's all due to Yvette.
Yeah, it must be. There's nothing else changed. It must be that.
I did mention to a few people I was coming on, so but no, I'm not taking credit for that. I will say about the drugs. I'm in 2 minds about what you're saying there, because with China, I have major issues with what they export, because okay, fine, if they're doing plants, flowers, pollen, even the insects, but it's everything else they grind up into powder that's very bad. So I'm in two minds with that. And synthesizing enzymes and proteins and, isn't a bad thing, because it actually helps. If you go into the Amazon and say, right, this flower cures cancer. So off they trot into the Amazon and collect every single plant. That's what they do because humans are idiots. And there'd be no more of those plants. So, yeah, I'm in two minds about that. I think synthesizing most things could be... I'm so sorry, Dr. Alex. I'm losing my voice.
I'm agreeing with you as well. I mean, I think the synthesis of these things is probably a good way, particularly when a lot of these plants do not grow well outside of their niche habitat that they're in. We definitely need to protect those habitats so we still have access to those plants for further research and for just diversity of life generally. But the synthesis is also good for many reasons. One is not just
it can be
eating our way through.
It can be, but I think it's overused. It's overused so they can patent a pill. So you can't patent the plant, but you can patent the pill. And the question of what did we lose in the synthesization process is never brought up. We're never allowed to ask that in any meaningful way. That the media certainly won't. They're relying on ad dollars from these companies far too much. So my concern is not the synthesization itself. It's the fact that they may be leaving out something we could actually use. And they don't want to tell us because it's their research, it's their profit. And there's a lot of CEOs who need a lot of yachts. And there it is.
This is probably where Dr. Alex and I will agree, because you're talking from the American point of view, whereas we are in the UK and it is very different here.
Not so different, but it is.
Well, I certainly know that transparency in a lot of things, which are not transparent in America at all.
Certainly in
it's
science,
all about the dollar. He's absolutely right.
Yeah, you and I are both physics in our background, aren't we?
Yes.
And I mean, God, we live on the archive. I mean, we couldn't be more open source. And there are lots of other disciplines that are. I mean, a lot of biomed does go onto the archive, and I think chemistry is on the archive. There are other strands on the archive as well, other than just physics.
Biology and chemistry. I have many friends that work in those fields as well. I wouldn't want to do either. Yucky biology and chemistry and me. I tend to blow things up, so not a good idea.
But they are generally open, except there are still industrial secrets. There are still
in every field. There are in your field. There are in my field. There are certain things that have to stay, I think, secret, because humans are idiots.
Yeah, I know.
And it's inanimate objects are completely blank. Once a human gets hold of them, they can do good or evil.
Yeah, I still prefer the open access to information. Back in the day, before I became the doctor, before I became a doctor, but I was still an educator, I would happily tell children how to enrich uranium using gas centrifuge, and how to do it, and how to build a bomb if you didn't mind dying of radiation dose. I didn't, but all physicists technically know how to do this. We do know how to build a bomb.
Yeah.
We know what we need to do. We know it's just that information.
You just don't do it.
Genie back in the bottle. Sorry, go on.
No, once something's invented, that's it. It's
That
up to I say mankind because I'm from that era and I really don't care. And
I understand language.
Mankind is the one that decides what they do with an invention. I mean, when they split the atom, it was absolutely amazing. But look what happened when they split the atom.
Yeah.
And that is a typical... I don't want to get into a political we're not supposed to be talking about that, but
No.
politics, war, weapons. It's a sad, sad world.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I the short summary is I don't think there's any point in attempting to censor our knowledge and understanding of the natural, of anything, the natural world. But I do know that certain people have a vested interest in keeping things secret, and that would include corporations, particularly medicine, those pharmaceutical companies. They want to keep their secrets so they can fleece us for as much as they can get.
And I don't mind that they're making a profit. What I do mind are things that happened, say, starting in the late 80s, where they said we're adding human growth hormone to the milk production cycle. So it's going to be in the milk, but don't worry, it'll be completely safe. And I heard that back in 88, 89, whatever it was. My first thought is, by the time we prove it's unsafe, y'all who said it was going to be safe will be dead.
Well,
and that's exactly what happened.
This is where I do agree with Yvette that there is a slight, or was a slight, difference between the UK and the US, that we did have much more stringent food regulations in terms of what we would accept stuffed into our animals and by extension into our foods. I say did because we're no longer part of the bloody EU, so a lot of those things are the government has been trying to drop those hand over fist. Never mind health and safety gone AWOL, but until recently, we didn't have that level of stuff being stuffed into our chickens, for example.
Dr. Alex, you're a little quiet compared to Yvette. Perhaps, yeah. I
don't know. I've got a real pro setup because I do my lectures from here, so I'm quite probably balanced. HD.
I think Dr. Alex needs to turn his mic up to 11.
You're getting quieter.
I'm getting even quieter. Hang on. Where's my mic thingy? That's quite high. Is that really quiet?
Oh no,
no.
Nice and loud, yes.
I can hear your lovely voice now.
Yeah, I just gave it a tiny tweak on my Edirol audio capture device, which is a really cheap thing, but it works really well. Yeah. Anyway, I got completely distracted. What were we talking about?
Well, we should change the subject back because we went to politics, didn't we?
Let's go back
which
to
I tried not to, but yeah. Hey, honey. LDG's here.
Who's here?
LDG.
Oh, LDG. See, I'm kind of surprised that Captain Phantom Nerd and LDG haven't or Bird of Prey even haven't leapt onto the actual panel with us. But we live in hope. One day, maybe.
We live in hope. Yeah. It's always nice hearing from them.
So, anything else about this documentary that has tickled your brains and made you think, I wish I knew this or that?
Oh, well, there's one. I will mention the only part of the documentary I disliked when they said, what happened to this ancient civilization? And immediately they had this zoom in close up on a crucifix. I'm thinking, okay, if you tried that with the Star of David, or with the crescent, or with a rainbow flag, what do you think would have happened?
Well, we haven't had any of those actually invaded.
Christians will take anything, unfortunately.
That is also true.
My point being, if you want to blame a group, there's only certain groups you can blame and get away with and not be sued.
This is true. Oh my God. Hang on. Sorry. This is an awesome topic, but I have to do something. Hang on a second.
Hello, world.
Hey, bud.
It's Bird of Prey 5. Kapla.
Kapla.
Oh,
okay.
Thank you, Dr. Alex, for the
thank you for coming on.
invitation. And I know it's going weeks and weeks. You sending me links, and I'm getting them a week late, 2 weeks late.
But it's partly my fault because you often had a stream at the same time.
Yeah, and today just happened to work out that I wasn't streaming, so I tweeted out earlier that for anybody who would normally be watching my stream, that they watch your stream instead.
That's why we've got so many more people. It's Yvette and Bird of Prey 5 together,
yeah,
generating it.
And unfortunately, I saw about half of the video. I
I know
didn't
you
get
came
to
in-
see the whole thing
Came in a bit late,
because I
but
had some
the
stuff
beauty of
going
it
on.
is it's on YouTube. You can go back and watch the rest of it whenever you like.
Yes, but I really didn't think I could do that and talk about it right now in any, with any.
Where did you come into it?
Let's see. They were talking
You get your quiz
about,
now.
of course,
Probably came in about where the Terra Preta was starting to be really talked about. The
Charcoal and poo.
charcoal and poo, yes.
And coffee
Dinner
grounds.
combination.
I bet it's
Oh,
coffee
apparently.
grounds too. We owe our civilization to coffee.
uh,
I owe my life to coffee.
they
I
were
couldn't
talking
exist
about
without it.
how, I think it was towards the end. The clearing of the Amazon was for farmland, but it turns out the farmland only lasts a couple of years and then it gets washed away.
Yeah, this is why slash and burn is such a terrible idea.
It is
Which
terrible.
honestly I wasn't aware of. I thought it was turning into productive farmland.
Yeah, no.
Because
Because the Amazon has so much rain, it just doesn't have time to soak in. If it was like a forest that was less Amazon-y or monsoony, it might stand a chance, but not there.
Yeah, if the tree types were more like European or even North American woods and forests, then yeah, but they're not. They have much. I think they've got much more sparse root systems for a start. I'm really stretching. I'm not a biologist. I am stretching my knowledge here. I always forget to hasten to point out I'm not an expert. Old media guy's not an expert. Yvette's not an expert.
No.
Vertebrae 5, we're none of us experts. So when I say something like that, please go and check and then put in the chat and say how wrong I am.
Yeah, no, because in all honesty, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not for destroying the rainforest, obviously.
Yes.
But, I've always heard one side of the story. And when I heard over the years that, it's not that they're destroying the rainforest just to destroy the rainforest, they're destroying the rainforest to replace it with farmland and to become self-sufficient. And I thought, that's not the worst idea in the world. And it's one thing for a country to say, oh, don't destroy farmland, but we're the United States. We've already destroyed our lands and made them farmlands. We are, we had badlands, we had deserts that we dammed rivers to change, our land. And now we want to tell another country, well, you can't do what we did because, you have the rainforest. But they feel they have so much rainforest. What they really need is a few, million acres of farmland instead.
Well, don't forget, some of the outcry about their slash and burn was not directed at the inefficiency of their farming operations. It was about this semi-mystical belief that those trees and the forests and such were sacred, and only if we left them as they had been left for the last 46 million years, how much happier we would all be. And then it turns out, no, those forests grow back. That Save the Rainforest film with Sean Connery and Lorraine Bracco, I'm blanking on the name, that was shot in a part of the rainforest that was growing up after being burned. They couldn't have filmed in an actual full-fledged old-growth rainforest. It had been too thick, so they actually had to go to a part of the forest that was regrowing. And that was the part that always annoyed me in the narrative, which is if you burn it and leave it alone, it just grows back. That doesn't mean they should keep doing it. It definitely does mean they should go to the charcoal method because it's so much more efficient. But this idea that, no, we must leave it, it's pristine and beautiful and lovely, say all these people in North America who've never been there.
And as we've just seen in this documentary, obviously large swathes of it were being used for agriculture, but the point is they weren't having to do what these slash and burns, which is just mow across it over the years as it became successively terrible as the water washed away the nutrients. So this is, we need the Terra Preta method, or
we do
something along those lines, so that you don't have to keep munching away through the forest until it really is gone. or hasn't had a chance to
Absolutely.
grow back
I
adequately.
think we should be able to buy a terra preta in the stores or in the shops, and be
Yeah,
able
so
to
there's
use that
business.
to get our gardens going especially in the U.S. where they've basically outlawed gardens. They don't say that, but if you put a garden in your front lawn, someone comes after you for it.
Are you kidding me?
No,
I know they do that in they do that in oh god, what's your big seedy city? Las
Which one?
Vegas. I know in Las
Yeah,
Vegas
Las Vegas.
they have outlawed lawns. They're just about to because
yes,
It's a
they're getting rid of
desert.
lawns in some of the desert climates, which
Yeah.
absolutely are necessary. But in the
Yeah.
places where lawns will just grow,
Hmm.
if you put
Well,
a
that is
garden in, sometimes you get an official from the city saying you can't put that there.
Huh.
And it's, I don't know what that's going to take to change, but there it is.
Wow, the land of the free. Sorry.
Mhm.
Dr. Alex, just to
Yeah,
confirm, LDG said the syphilis part was sad, but not surprising. But Mr. Londell said he thinks it was smallpox, not syphilis.
true. The documentary did not say syphilis at any point.
You did, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
I threw the syphilis in there because it's always inherently funny. Syphilis, what's not to laugh?
Well, unless you get it, yeah.
About the brain eroding disease that rots your entire body eventually. Yeah, nothing more funny than that. I always like that joke. Syphilis.
Yeah, talking of that, just as a side note, if anyone's ever in Blackpool, he's not there now, unfortunately, but in the tower, they have like these little exhibitions and things. And they had one.
Worried about where this is going.
Waxwork on syphilis.
Oh.
And it covered all the body parts of how they look. Right up until
right
the
next
end.
to a condom shop, isn't it?
Well, right up until the end, it wasn't too bad. And then it was an entire collection of penises in different
syphilitic penises.
Various. Yeah. And I walked out of it. I went, why would anyone do that? That's not entertainment.
I think they were just
putting everyone off sex without
maybe
a condom.
I thought no. I think they're glorifying antibiotics. They're just saying, look, what we don't have to have now, we have antibiotics. I'm hoping that's what they were doing.
Yeah. Right, do carry on. I've
No,
done my syphilis bit. Yeah.
You completely thrown me. I have no idea what I was talking about anymore. Never mind about terra preta and Amazonian civilizations. Just syphilitic penises everywhere, apparently.
Well, how do you think they got the terra preta going?
I hope not with that.
No.
I mean, I said you should boil your vegetables anyway if you're growing with terra preta, but now I think you should just gamma ray them to death. In the land before microwaves. Anyway, enough of the syphilis. Oh God, the kiosk is
you
on.
You brought
the
it up, man.
well.
I do not want a message tomorrow morning from you going, it's all your fault. I dreamt about syphilis all night.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. I don't read autobiographies very often, and I don't really read celebrity.
You didn't read mine, did you?
You have your hang on. I'll have to go and find it. No, but I did read Errol Flynn's autobiography, the only one I can really say I've read, and it was entertaining and revealing and very candid. But he got the tail end of when syphilis was still a thing, and he did have syphilis, and he was talking about sneezing and having one of his teeth fly out, which ruined his attempts to try and woo a woman at the time. So, yeah, but he was very glad when he managed to finally get penicillin, but it was almost too late. I mean, he only made it into the 50s, and that only became available in the late 40s. So he just got
lucky, yeah.
Yeah, and then he died anyway. So I mean, quite young, really, Errol Flynn. I mean, he was in his 50s, I think, when he died. So relatively.
Well,
young.
he drank himself to death.
He did not lead the healthiest lifestyle. That's true.
But I suppose if I had syphilis and it was incurable, I'd be drinking myself to death too.
Yeah.
Well, he described some of the earlier methods of treating syphilis. It includes putting basically red hot metal implements down the urethra.
Yep. Oh, they had that in the museum as well.
Oh
Yeah.
God!
You just
He
reminded me of
actually had
that.
that done to him.
Mercury.
Oh.
Geez.
If you all want to watch what the U.S. Army did to educate its soldiers about VD, there is a sex hygiene film directed by John Ford himself, starring the second Batman, i.e., the Batman from the second serial. And it shows in graphic detail how the Army doctors will treat you if you catch something. And of course, the moral of the story is, for God's sake, put on a condom. Because you can't tell someone whose job it is to go shoot somebody for a living to, not have sex afterwards. So,
I never really hanker for living in the past.
I'd like to visit it. I'd like to be a tourist, but living there, not really.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad we have.
Well, thankfully, it's actually impossible to time travel backwards.
If it was possible, I'd assume they'd have some type of technology that you put up your nose that would, stop all the offending smells. That would be my biggest.
That was your biggest.
Before people showered and before the invention of.
It's funny you should mention
deodorant.
that. Might be able to back me up on this, but we had in York. You may have heard of the town of York. It was a big Viking town, among other places, and they had the Jorvik Viking Centre in York, and they had loads of artificial smells of dung. Well, it's mostly dung, really, as far as I can tell. Dung and disease products. It was just, but they recreated them artificially. So you walk through the Jorvik Viking Centre with all this Viking-y stuff going on, and smelling all these slightly artificial, disgusting smells. So I don't think you want to go there, would you, Bird of Prey?
I don't even want to go back to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where you get the smell of actual farming manure that's clean by 21st century standards, but it's just disgusting.
Well, funny you should mention that, Dr. Alex. At Land's End, I don't know if it's still there, they were doing in one of their exhibition halls at the time, a thing on the Border Reivers, which I'm fascinated about. But what they incorporated into this sort of 3D, sort of waxworky whatever, and you were sitting on bay hills, were smells.
Okay, I thought not syphilitic penises again, is it?
No, my life doesn't revolve around penises. Believe me, it's been way too long.
Specifically syphilitic ones.
I wouldn't know what one looks like now. Seriously, no. But the smells of gunfire and the smells of living in tents. It was a really quite an interesting, if not a bit gross, demonstration. So there are quite a few in England. Well, England, UK, I should say. And well, you know what Cornwall's like. I mean, they're all weird.
I have been there.
It's pagan land.
I do like this. United Kingdom, the land of artificial smells.
Yeah.
Ironic, really, because there's plenty of real ones.
Indeed.
We lost. We lost old media guy.
Please tell me I didn't scare him away with artificial smells.
I don't think that's what happened. I'm pretty sure.
I have to run, he says. Thanks for having me on.
Oh
my goodness.
I can't believe we missed that. Oh, thank you for joining us, old media guy. Again, as usual, we couldn't have done this without you. But at least for once, I have people still here. So, Bird of Prey, what do you think we should do? How do you think we should improve our soils then?
Well, just so you know, my power is flashing. So I drop out. It's probably I lost power. We're having some rain here.
Oh, yeah.
Some lights flickering.
You're in New York, aren't you?
Yeah. But to improve soil, I don't know. I'm not a soil engineer.
None of us are experts. I should never throw these questions out there.
I think. I mean, I thought we were pretty good at that stuff. That you put down different seeds each year, and we found a pretty good way to keep soil from becoming wasted, right? I mean, farmers, they know what seeds to put down, so they can
Yeah,
replant year over year.
the European method has been crop rotation for hundreds, if not thousands of years. That's true.
Definitely.
Seems to work.
And it did get translated to North America, but obviously it doesn't work in all parts of the world, is what I think we learned today.
Rapeseed is one of the ones they fallow the land with, but then they discovered they could use it.
Yeah, that was very fortuitous.
So, yeah. Now, I'm going back to my grandmother's era. She used to follow the horses around with a bucket. So I personally think everyone should own a horse.
I wouldn't object, but then again, I also was brought up in a slightly odd way because my granddad owned horses, built the stables up, not because he was one of the landed gentry, by the way. My granddad worked down the pits when he was a lad. In fact, he would work down the pits up and through the Second World War because he couldn't be relieved from the pits because it was one of those reserve occupations. They had to stay there and do that while the war went on to make sure they had coal. But they had pit ponies, and he spent his whole life following the pit ponies on carts down the mines. And once he got out of the pits and ran away, got down to Kent because he was in Northumbria to begin with. He built a stables there once he got there, while being a bus driver most of the time, and on the side built this little riding stables. But yeah, he loved horses, and I followed the horses around as well. I cleared up all their mess, and I had mounds of manure which used to sell to the locals.
Gosh,
yeah,
it's fantastic for roses.
Exactly.
I mean, I learned to ride, but that was part of my bringing up. But tell me, Dr. Alex, do you use the M4?
Wait, the M4 comes out of London. Oh, going to Wales? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to use it fairly regularly because I had friends in Cardiff, and I also used to do the fencing competitions in Cardiff and in Plymouth as well, which is actually most of the same route. So I used to use the M4 quite a bit.
Then you will remember as you go through Slough, you drive past what I call the poo factory. And everyone has to do their windows up very fast. You couldn't live. I don't know how people live there. It is probably one of the worst smelling things on the planet.
I don't
and
remember.
Every day from Maidenhead to London, Hammersmith, I had to put up with that.
The poo factory.
The poo factory.
I don't remember it. Maybe I always had the windows closed. I don't know.
Yeah, you'd remember it if you'd.
But yes, I also agree with your horse comment, though. I think we should be using as much. I miss horses because I grew up, obviously, every holiday we went to our grandparents, and I would ride horses all the time. I wasn't just clearing up the poo, I did ride the horses as well. And yeah, I do miss, in London, where I am now, much as it's quite green where I am, around Crystal Palace, the garden's beautiful and green. I don't think I could quite fit the stables in there.
No. And up here, I'm in Blackpool. I mean, we have donkeys walking around a lot, but apart from that, there are a few horses, but they're working horses. I haven't ridden in years.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like riding a bike, but I could get on one and ride. But
it's probably been a couple of decades since I rode as well. But I do miss it. It's true. Bird of Prey, I know you can't ride at the moment, but did you used to?
Oh, I used to ride a bike.
Ride a bike?
Bicycle, not a.
Yeah, no, I got you.
Not a motorcycle.
But no horse.
No horse.
Never a horse. But you're American.
I was way too big for a horse.
Yeah, Bird of Prey's really tall.
That is true.
Well, even. Besides tall, I was heavy. I was 360 pounds at one point, and at my lowest, when I was like maybe 280. But that was still way too much for most horses, and I certainly didn't want to be on a huge horse.
Yeah, it would be kind of terrifying. I've never really wanted to ride a cart horse or a shire horse or anything of that size.
I've ridden quite a few shire horses.
Yeah.
Well, where I used to live in Maidenhead, around the corner from me was the Shire Horse Centre.
Yeah.
And the carriage centre where they kept the shire horses, obviously for the shows more than anything, but that's where they kept them to deliver the beer and everything. But I rode quite a few of the shire horses.
What were they like to ride? Because
you feel very high up, and I'm tiny. I'm only just 5'4", so literally getting on one, I need a step ladder. And then my legs,
ear or something.
Yeah, well, my leg, the worst was sitting on it because, my legs weren't long enough to go round it.
Yeah,
so
sort of thinking.
And I was sort of half doing the splits, or I was even considering side saddle at one point because I could not get my legs around them. But no, wonderful horses, though. Wonderful, very nice temperament.
Yeah, they are gentle, aren't they?
Very.
Grandad had a weird horse called Royal. It was barely a horse. It was only just about the height of a horse because it was a shire mixed with some pony or other. So it had come out very small, but looked like a shire. It had the nose of a shire horse. And it had the temperament as well. I loved Royal. Royal would never do anything mischievous, but he also wouldn't go very fast most of the time as well. But you could occasionally get him to canter and do stuff, but most times plod, plod, plod. But yeah, shires, I understand the temperament of them. They
are very sweet, very sweet. Rode side saddle. I can ride side saddle. It's uncomfortable. It's hard. So I generally will choose to ride a horse normally, but I did learn as part of my training to ride side saddle. But it's horrible. Hey, Resolute.
Yeah. So yeah.
We're well off topic. So sorry.
Yeah, I've kind of exhausted everything I can say about this documentary, but I hope people. I get the impression people are enjoying this and got a lot out of it. Learned stuff from it, or in my case, reminded me because it's been a while since I watched it. So, we did know about this stuff. It's true.
Well, I was looking at all the episodes they had done, and there were so many. I was going, "Oh, I'd like to see that one. Oh, I'd like to see that one."
I have got so many. I didn't realize how many I'd actually got on my lap. Even if we didn't have Daily Motion copies, I've got about 30, I think, episodes on my laptop.
Wow.
So at least 30. I think possibly more.
The count's 1,250, believe it or not.
Yeah, I might not have that many, but I have.
No, I'm just saying. It's a hell of a lot.
So would you like to know what we're going to do next week?
Sure.
Yeah, so next Saturdays, I've actually already rendered it and already tested it on YouTube, not openly so people can't see it. But again, this one, all but 20 seconds of it got through without the BBC bots clobbering it. So there's this bit in the middle for 20 seconds where it has to zoom in and the sound goes a bit weird. And then it zooms back out again and then it's full size for the rest of it. And this one is the Death Star.
The Death Star?
Ooh. And a lot of this will go into the preamble. I'm going to stick on it anyway. But this is one of those ones that encouraged me to go back and rejoin the world of physics. And actually go and study and get my master's and then my PhD. It's one of those ones that made me think I'd like to know more about what's going on. And the without too many spoilers, but the Death Star is about gamma ray bursters. And it was just, the stuff they were doing. But I was watching this episode, and again, much like the one we just watched, it's from about 2002, 2003, around that time, maybe 2001, somewhere in that era. And I was thinking how little information we had on the CMB at the time. I was thinking, so they're talking about the age of the universe being about 14 billion years old, which is roughly right, but it wasn't as precise as we know it now.
No, yeah.
And I was thinking, now when did we get that precision level? Oh yeah, but they wouldn't have had Planck, definitely. They wouldn't have had WMAP. Bloody hell, what version of the CMB did they have? I think I can't remember which one it was.
Hubble, wasn't it?
Hubble wouldn't have done the CMB, but Hubble was.
Oh no,
But they had the one before WMAP, but I can never remember which one that is. They had more than just a dipole moment. They had some blobs of CMB stuff, but I was just thinking they don't have. Yeah, I was being too harsh, but what it was remarkable was how. I don't want to spoil everything, but that's the next one we're going to watch. It's about these gamma ray bursters, the Death Stars, the things that could fry your face off if you got too close to them, which pretty much describes most things in the universe, really. But anyway. And they go boom.
I was just having a look to see.
Oh, you looked it up. I should do. I will do this. I will find out what our.
No, well, I specifically asked for 2000, but of course it's being an arse to me, as per normal. 2000.
What was the one we had before WMAP?
Hang on. If it's not too big, ow.
I mean, I'm being very lazy. I could just go and look it up myself. It'll probably be in the references.
Well, this is your field, not mine.
Yeah, exactly. I get the thesis down. It's probably in the references in the back somewhere, but I'm damned if I can remember off the top of my head.
Oh, stop giving me equations.
Oh, that's going to annoy me until I go and find that.
Based on observations carried out at the European Southern Observatory using ultraviolet and visual Herschel spectrograph, the Very Large Telescope.
The LT.
Okay. Okay, this is a huge document.
Oh, something plopped into my head for a second and then fell out again.
Great.
Yeah, I was trying to think what they did use to get the microwave measurements before WMAP, and it was nothing as elegant as the WMAP satellite, that's for sure. But I'm damned if I can remember what it is. I'm going to look it away. I'm going to have to look it up. Anyway, the point is, next week it'll be about gamma ray bursters, and it was one of those horizons that inspired me to go back and rejoin physics. Brought me back into the fold eventually. I went the long way around to being a doctor, and I spent a long time.
Each gets to their vocation in life. I was just like born to it. I was at Exeter at 16, and within 3 years I had a doctorate.
Wow.
Then I did my professorship, and then I taught at Exeter, and then I did work in the background.
Well,
and I actually retired from teaching not last June, June before. It was just too much because the projects I'm working on at the moment are massive. But I spent a lot of time abroad doing lectures, and I miss that because I'm looking after Mum at the moment. She's bedridden. So at the moment I'm on pause with traveling, but I'm not that old, so I'll be back out there. So I'm doing everything remotely.
Yeah.
So I do my lectures remotely at the moment. I have to do
still, yeah?
No, I'm retired from Exeter.
Oh.
No. I did have tenure, but it was just too much with the other work that I felt I needed to do because it was important. And although I love teaching very much, I still have to do 4 lectures a year to keep my professorship.
Yeah.
But that's easy. So, yeah.
That leads on to my next question, which is, will you be joining me for the next one since it's actually on physics?
If it's a Sunday, we have a little issue because Sundays are my favourite day for one reason and one reason only.
Yes.
Bird of Prey. Well, actually, the Twilight Zone.
Fair enough. Yeah, I can't compete with Bird of Prey.
It's a show that I love the Twilight Zone. We're just about to do the 80s. We've done all the black and whites, and now we're going into the 80s. Obviously, when Bird wants to start it up again. But but if it's, I don't know.
If it's free, then you could come by and we can talk about gamma ray bursters and the immense power of these things, and that they're just what they were able to reveal, even in 2002, 2001, when this was made, what we already knew about the early universe because of them was an incredible revelation.
Oh,
so
yeah.
again, one of those things that maybe want to know more about the universe and ultimately go back and start studying it properly. So,
Definitely.
awesome. So unless anyone else has something to do that they desperately want to say, or anyone in the chat desperately wants to say something, or anyone wants to leap in, shall we wind it up for the day?
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. I've had an absolute blast.
Oh, thank you for coming. This is and look, the cat's just decided to rise up and say hello
Ah.
too.
Oh.
I know she looks so innocent and yet is not. But yes, thank you for coming. It's been brilliant to see you, as well as Old Media Guy as usual, and the very rare Bird of Prey 5. I mean, hopefully, if he's free as well next week, it would be appropriate for a space episode to have a Bird of Prey 5, I'd have thought.
As I say, if he's doing Twilight Zone, it will be a no from both of us, but
he's awake.
Depends if he's taking a break or not.
It's going to depend on
How
the
you
week
feel.
goes between now
Yeah.
and then.
Of course, I understand. Okay, I'm going to do the inelegant leap towards the end broadcasting that I always do, because I'm always further from the computer than I should be. Right, 1 second. But thank you everyone for coming. Thank you everyone in the chat for being there. The kiosk, you have done a solo job in the chat of making it the most vibrant chat ever. I'm now going to try and end the stream. Thank you all for being here. Bye. Always have to click twice.